This is the Renew LA Committee meeting for, what is today, November? It's 17th. Thank you. It's been a rough 2 days. November 17th. Councilman Smith, Chairman, will be joined by Ms. Perry shortly. At request of the City Attorney, we're going to take item number 2 first, which is a closed session item. So we ask all those people not involved in the lawsuit, please step out for a short time. Just pull. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Council Chair Smith. I'm Raina Pereira with the Bureau of Sanitation, and I'd like to give you an update on the status of our selection with regards to emerging technology facilities that can process up to 200 tons per day of black bin municipal solid waste, and also the action that the Board of Public Works undertook on November 9th of this year. The Bureau will be finalizing its recommendation on the commercial category and will present its final evaluation to the Board of Public Works under a separate report. Just to start with, I'd like to give you a brief historical background on this project. In order to reduce the city's reliance on landfilling and harness the energy from trash, the Mayor directed the Bureau of Sanitation to establish an alternative technology facility capable of processing black bin waste. In addition, City Council's adopted Renew LA plan calls for the establishment of 7 conversion technology facilities, 1 in each of the 6 waste sheds, as well as 1 in the local region. On August 22nd, 2007, the city received 13 proposals, 6 of which were under the emerging technology category. Emerging technology proposals came from across the United States, Canada, and Israel. And proposed technologies included mechanical, biological, and thermal technologies employing automated and manual sorting, anaerobic digestion, gasification, pyrolysis, as well as plasma arc gasification. Of the 6 original emerging proposals, 3 companies failed to submit their good faith effort documentation and therefore were deemed non-responsive and were not evaluated. And these companies included carbon sequestration, Zia metallurgical processes, and Rainbow Disposal. The 3 remaining proposals were considered for further evaluation, and these included Wheelabrator Technologies, Plasco Energy Group, as well as California Renewable Technologies. Wheelabrator was not evaluated under emerging technologies since the proposal was incomplete and contingent on the city awarding Wheelabrator a contract for the commercial technology. Plasco Energy Group was not shortlisted as recommended by the Bureau. And therefore, on June 1st, 2009, the board deemed non-responsive the proposals that failed to pass the good faith effort. In addition, the Bureau also received approval to shortlist the only remaining proposal under the emerging category. Furthermore, the board also authorized the board to continue with further evaluation concerning the proposer's financing options to develop the facility, taking into account the current global financial and credit situation, as well as their options to acquire credit, emissions credit reduction for non-attainment criteria air pollutants in light of the South Coast AQMD permit moratorium. On June 23rd of this year, the Bureau mailed COT a request for additional information concerning impacts of the recent permit moratorium by the South Coast AQMD, as well as the current global financial and credit situation, and also asked if they could ascertain the impacts that these changes would have on their proposed service fee. On August 10th of this year, the Bureau received the responses from COT and provided the responses to HDR, which is our technical consultant, to review, analyze, and prepare a technical report for the city's evaluation panel. On October 13th, 2009, HDR presented a summary of their findings for the COT proposal evaluation under the emerging technology category to the evaluation panel. An overview of COT's proposal. They are proposing to process 150 tons per day of municipal solid waste by combining several processing technologies, including mechanical pre-sorting, wet separation, and two-stage anaerobic digestion. This is there's one operational reference facility that is processing the proposed tonnage, currently operating in Israel. And furthermore, COT proposed to site this facility outside the city of Los Angeles. COT is expected to comply with South Coast AQMD air emission permit requirements by implementing the best available control technology for removal of air pollutants, and this proposed technology is expected to result in lower greenhouse gas emissions compared to landfilling. So, based on the recommendations of the evaluation panel, the Bureau received approval from the Board of Public Works on November 9th of this year to begin negotiations with COT and return to the board within 60 days with the status of the contract negotiations. And that concludes my...
Okay. A couple questions. As part of the discussions, are you going to talk to them about the feasibility of locating within the city limits rather than in Paris, that's Paris, California, where they're talking about sending them? I mean, that's a long rail haul.
Yes, that's definitely going to be under consideration during contract negotiations, as well as pretty much a lot of other issues to just go over and really kind of hone in on the best and final agreement.
Okay. Assuming that they go to the Paris site, what is their operational time frame before they think they can be constructed, permitted, and operational?
Okay.
See, I know they already have a lot of permits on the site, so...
Correct. They're estimating... let me introduce myself, Councilman. My name is Miguel Sermeno.
I thought so.
With the Bureau of Sanitation. Good afternoon. The estimated time for construction and operation of their facility for the 150 tons per day, it's about 18 months to 23 months. And some of the permits are already in place since they're already working with another municipality to also process some MSW as well.
So if we chose another site, and there's a couple been mentioned, that could extend the time frame by another year and a half?
That could be the case, since I guess your first question was regarding a possible potential sites within the city limits. Currently, we're going through a study analyzing various parcels with particular zonings and criteria that they have to meet. Once we identified a particular site, that site needs to go through a permit process and so forth, so we can we can forecast at least a 2-year process just to get all the permits in place. So that will be a 2 years plus the 18 months to 23 months for them to construct the facility.
Okay.
So we're talking about between 4 years and a half to 5 years.
And is there going to be an analysis done as to the cost factor of sending the trash to Paris versus if we had it just down the street here or somewhere within the city limits?
That will be part of the contract negotiations, Councilman, and that will be which would be more cost effective for the city, whether it would be more cost effective to have the trash be processed locally or have it transfer all the way to Paris. There is a transportation cost associated with that, and there's other environmental impacts also associated with that. So that needs to be taken into account, and those issues will be negotiated as we move forward with the contract negotiations.
Okay. And the technology we're looking at, is it easily expandable if there's land available? Is it modular in nature that it could be?
That is correct. They're module or trained. They can increase their modules in stages of 150 tons per day. So let's say, for instance, this facility gets built for 150. They can put another train to at another 150. That could be a 300 ton per day facility and so forth.
Okay.
Yes.
Assuming land's available.
Assuming the land is available.
Is there land available at Paris for expansion?
The land available at Paris right now, as proposed, is only for 150. I do not know whether they might have additional land available for an expansion. I know they have the total land they have theirs to process 300 tons per day, but I know they might be committing 150 tons to another municipality.
Okay. That should be a question asked of them when you
That is
negotiate,
correct.
if we have expandability there.
That's
because
correct.
I think eventually, and I know as I've talked to people, everybody kind of loves this project, and I think it would be much easier to permit, for one. And two, as much as I'd like it in the city, if we chose to expand it and it stays in Paris, then we would have that, we need the land to do that. So that would be important for us to know for the future if it's expandable. What about the commercial side? What's the time frame on that?
We are looking to finalize the evaluation and hopefully by the end of the year, go back to the Board of Public Works with a recommendation. That's the tentative plan.
Okay. By the end of this year, in other words, next month,
That's right.
not 2010. Okay.
2009, that's right.
A fiscal year. I mean, there's a lot of years around here. Yeah. All right. All right. So I'd ask that when you come back to the Board of Public Works, that you also come back to this committee with an update on the negotiations on the CART project. And then also that should be just about timely also for report back on the commercial project as well.
Sure.
So we can combine those two into a report back early in January sometime. What's your time date on this, January 9th? If it was
That's right,
60 days?
November,
Correct.
so January
January
9th,
10th,
right.
or sometime in mid-January then.
Okay.
All right. All right, that then will be the order. We'll just continue this discussion and keep on plugging away. By the way, just Mr. LaBonge called me before the meeting. That's why I talked about the other sites. He's still very interested in the site he identified for us in his district. And this would be kind of a great project for that site because the way it's constructed and the way the site is kind of somewhat a little smaller and a little harder to put it on, but that might fit well there. So we'll continue that discussion later, but he just wanted you to know that. So,
Okay,
all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 3.
Item number 3 is a Bureau of Sanitation report relative to the status of the request for proposal for disposal, transfer, and/or transport services for residual municipal solid waste.
Good afternoon, Councilman Smith. My name is Javier Polanco with the Bureau of Sanitation.
Khalil Garders, Bureau of Sanitation.
We released a disposal RFP in October 1st of 2009. We have two disposal contracts, one with BFI and the other with Waste Management. And we have to decide on an option whether to extend past June 30th of 2011, a year in advance per the contract. So that's why we had to get started quite early so that we could let them know by June 2010 what our decision will be. And so we let off the RFP, and some of the things we're looking for in the RFP, the services that we're expecting from the contractors would include disposal system options at landfills and other solid waste facilities, excluding alternative technologies, transfer station services for the Western, East Valley, West Valley, and Harbor waste sheds, for the transport of waste to solid waste facilities that we identified through this RFP. Also, transportation services from Clark's, those contracts are up as well. And so we're looking for to replace those contracts also that are due to expire December 2011. We're also looking for disposal solutions from Clark's for the private waste that we receive there, and also rail haul and transfer and remote disposal solutions for city waste out of Clark's. The service period that we're looking at is for 5 years with 2 5-year renewal options, potentially bringing that to June 30th of 2026. We did have a pre-proposal meeting on October 16th that was well attended. We had 22 potential proposers total. Some of those were transfer station providers, some disposal companies, some transportation services companies, so there was a good mix of different companies. The proposal submission date is December 31st, 2009. And so that's my update if you have any questions.
Well, let's follow from December 31st, your time frame then. When will you have a report ready for the board?
Well, we'd have to go through a period of evaluation of the proposals, but we would expect within the first quarter of 2010 to get to the board.
Okay, so
We're on a very tight schedule.
yeah, that's what I don't want to get into, a situation that we're at the last minute trying to. And historically, if you go back to the problem of BFI, I don't know if you were here at the time, but this was literally an 11th hour, 59th minute decision making.
I remember.
In which literally at 4:59 in the afternoon, BFI walked in with an agreement to do some things that we were trying to execute in the contract. It was brinksmanship at its best, but it was an exciting time, but not for you guys, I don't think.
No, it wasn't. No.
And so I want to make sure our time frames don't get to that critical mass again, and where we're really literally negotiating on the fly in the last minute, in the last hour of the last day.
I'm very cognizant of the schedule. That's why I'll be here on New Year's Eve collecting the proposals. So,
You will? I'm impressed. Okay. You put rail haul in there, which was interesting, a discussion a bit ago earlier, and I can't talk about the lawsuit issue, but about the rail haul concept, and that was that it was at least 5 years away before you could get to that. So why are we putting it in an RFP now, other than are you planning it as a mix for the future, that you would have some future agreements to move forward in a short-term solution and a long-term solution, or how are you going to structure that kind of a deal?
If I may, Councilman, yes, exactly. That's exactly what we're doing. We have, as Javier stated, the term is 5 year and 2 5-year options, and we have also an alternative for anyone that want to propose potential alternative for us to look at. So if we have somebody that's proposing a 5-year, and we have another proposal for rail haul that's going to be in the next 5 years to 10, then we can look at both and we see what to be the best for the city, and we can act on that.
So you could put together a deal that says one landfill that may propose has a 5-6 year lifespan left to it, and then the 10th, the 7th, 8th year, 10th year would be a rail haul option for it?
Potentially, yes, but all depends on, again, if we have proposals for the entire 15-year term, then that's what we're looking at first. But if we don't have that, then we have the opportunity to look at other options in order to just find what the most benefit for the city.
Okay, so this is just putting all the options on the table and seeing how you can fit it together and make it work for us.
Yes.
That's, all right, very good. And on the R-Cup fees, if it goes to another site, the R-Cup fee was really site-specific to just Sunshine?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so if we chose another site, we'd be relieved of that responsibility?
Yes, we won't have to pay the ARCA.
Okay. And then finally, will the awardee, if one is chosen other than Sunshine Canyon, require all residual city waste to be disposed of at another landfill then? In other words, we right now have a deal that goes to Sunshine Canyon for residuals?
Yes, and that's how the RFP is written, is anything that we, even if we take any waste that is for technologies or recycling, expansion, and so on and so forth, that particular waste, it's not guaranteed to go to landfill.
Very good. All right. Okay, very good. That, I think, answers my questions for now, and I'm anxious to see what comes back and as we move into the next level. So this would just be a note and file then, and we'll wait to hear back you sometime in January, hopefully.
Right.
And we'll see where we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4.
Item number 4 is the Bureau of Sanitation report relative to the multifamily recycling.
Good afternoon. Karen Coca, Citywide Recycling, Bureau of Sanitation. This item before you is a report relative to a motion that was adopted in 2006. It directed the Bureau of Sanitation to do our best to get to 50% of all apartment units in the city recycling. I'm happy to say that after a pilot program which went on for about 3 years with 70,000 units, and in 2007 we executed contracts for the entire city, made it available citywide, and as of I'm sure it's a higher number as of today, but as of the end of October, we were at 418,000 plus units in the city, which is approximately 77% of our original estimate of the total units in the city. I have to say that we've been challenged to roll out in that period of time, that the staff, and I'd like them to be recognized, have done an amazing job of making sure that not only that the expansion went forward, but the contamination rate is low. We have immediate answers when people call in with service issues. Education has been on a continuous basis, and they've just done an amazing job.
Well, let me ask you, before you do that, before I lose the thought, the contamination rate you said is low, which was surprising me pleasantly. Is that also regional as we look at it too? Because I know we've had some problems in certain parts of the city with contamination.
Yes, the contamination varies. It's between 7 and about 20%, which is a function of how the material is collected, the overall contamination rate.
Overall, citywide.
Yeah. In some areas, the contamination rate has exceeded 20%, but it hasn't gotten extremely high. And that's a function of how the collection takes place at these apartment units. It's what my staff refers to as valet service, where the drivers actually get out of the truck, take the bins to the truck. So if there's contamination issues, there's re-education. We tag bins, and in extreme cases, one woman who didn't believe that we couldn't take diapers to the MRF, we actually had to pull a bin or two. But that's been very, very minimal. Generally, the re-education has been successful. So the fact that the driver sees what's in the bin, the hauler's able to address it immediately, has really helped us in keeping the contamination down. But honestly, it's an ongoing process. As you know, you have tenants moving in and out, so the education process pretty much has to be an ongoing thing.
Old school. Just pick up the trash can and put it in the...
Well, it's semi-automated.
Isn't that the way it
They don't
used to
have
be?
to heft them.
Don't tell SEIU we're talking about this.
Well, the program itself, we modeled after the same program we have at the single family. That way we only need one message going out to all the residents. It is a blue bin. In general, it's a 90-gallon bin. and we accept the same materials in this program that we do in all of our other programs, because I believe that consistency is a really important facet to education. So,
You had some folks you wanted to introduce?
yeah, there's the manager, who is Mike Crossley, and then the folks who do the heavy lifting, Kathy Chavez and Benet Sanchez, who actually are the only full-time people that are assigned to this entire program. We have those two and 4 part-timers who handle all of the issues, the contracts, and dealing with the haulers and dealing with the tenants and every other thing. So it's been an amazing accomplishment on their part.
And I want to commend you because I think these numbers, as we've looked at them, have been not just unbelievable, but extraordinary. When we began down this road a couple of years ago, we were all going, I think it can work. I think it will make this happen. And then the numbers started coming in. They were really shocking, actually. Extraordinarily proud of you guys, so congratulations. We ought to take advantage of this great success story because I think everybody would like to hear it on the council and find a day that's appropriate, whether it's Earth Day next year or whatever, and do something before the council.
Councilman Enrique Zaldivar, the Director of the Bureau of Sanitation, in recognition of the accomplishment, we would like to have an official announcement in the form of a press celebration, a press event, for sure,
Okay.
with you accompanying us and other council members as well, because we believe, exactly as you have said, this is a tremendous accomplishment, and not only a reflection of our staff, but the policy that was forwarded and put in place by council. So yeah, we definitely want to celebrate and get the word out of it. So we have in the works a press event.
Yeah, there was a coordination to announce it. I'm not sure that there was a firm date. It was in December. But we'll
We've been
make sure.
coordinating with your schedules, your calendars,
And the mayor, obviously. So.
and the mayor.
Obviously, yeah.
Yes.
Great. Well, that's a great success story. And for the record, we've been joined by Councilmember Perry, and we're on item number 4, talking about the great success rate they've had in the multifamily recycling program. Yeah. What about on the residential side? Are we looking at anything additional in the way of mandatory recycling or additional activity to kick up the next notch in the residential side?
Well, as far as the, as you know, obviously, all of our programs at this point are voluntary programs. We do a lot of education, we do a lot of encouragement, and the fact that we've gotten as far as we have on our curbside program, which actually our diversion rate curbside is quite good, as well as with programs like the multifamily program, just shows that, people want to do the right thing. There's positives and negatives to going to a mandatory program. It does make sure that everybody has the opportunity to recycle because, sometimes there is some resistance. But then you have to look at things like contamination and other undesirable side effects from people not really owning the program as much as with a voluntary program. So there's positives and negatives to both.
Well, with the voluntary program, where are we in rolling out the ambassadors further? I know we've been a lot in East LA to start with, and East Valley for a while. Are we continuing to expand that, or
The what, council member? I'm
the
sorry.
ambassador program, which helps people understand recycling, why they should be doing it?
Absolutely. We have deployed it all across the city, but Jorge, you want to focus on which areas we have spent most time?
Jorge Santiesteban, Support Services Division, Bureau of Sanitation. What we have done is we moved the ambassadors, and they spend approximately 3 months in each collection district to teach the residents. Right now, they are in the East Valley area of the city, and then follow that, they used to be, last month they were in the West Valley district. So before they move to a particular area, we identify the areas of concerns as far as contamination. And then we go and look at the bins, we take a look, we educate the residents, and that has proven quite effective in reducing the contamination level.
I was looking at boosting recycling some more. I mean, while we beat our chest a lot about having a 64% or whatever the number is today diversion rate, a good portion of that's coming from the commercial side, and actually our residential is a little lower than 50, which is the state mandate. So as a city, we're doing fine. The multifamily has been great, but I think the laggard has been in the residential side, and I want to find ways to see if we can boost that number up a little more.
In fact, we should talk about something that is going to be rolled out that you know about, is the Recycling Rewards Program through a partnership with a private entity.
Yeah.
In which we would reward residents through this nonprofit organization for recycling at certain levels. And so the logistics of it are somewhat involved, but in a nutshell, we are going to reward by community rather than by individual. We just couldn't work the logistics to measure individual participation for this round. So it's a pilot that's going to be rolled out in each council district.
It was recently approved by board about a couple of weeks ago, and then we will be executing the contract, and that will be a way to increase the amount of recyclables that we obtain.
How big are those areas going to be?
We will have, in some areas, we will have routes of about 600 homes. Other areas will have routes of up to 1,000, 1,100. So it depends on the particular district.
Because I think the bigger you get, the harder it is to get buy-in, because my contribution, I can go out of the way to make everything I do right and perfect for recycling, but if my 4 neighbors aren't doing it, the whole neighborhood goes down. In a large area, a couple people working really hard doesn't matter. And so really, the smaller the area, the better, because then you can get more buy-in and say, hey, all of us on the street, let's do this because we benefit somehow.
Absolutely. It gets diluted. It's just like we have to work within our existing routes. And then if we see an increase, then we will be adjusting the routes.
Okay. All right. Ms. Perry?
Oh, it's good. I'm glad to hear it. And I like your idea of shrinking the area of impact, because I think you'll get a higher quality of response.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, then, we'll note and file that, and I appreciate the report. And
Thank you.
We'll move on to number 5.
Well, good afternoon again.
Item number 5, sir. Item number 5 is Bureau of Sanitation report. It's a verbal report in response to the motion by Councilmember Smith and Gruhl relative to expanding commercial recycling. This item was also referred to the Energy and Environment Committee, and was also continued from June 19, 2007.
Okay. Well, good afternoon again. I'm here today to give you an update on the myriad of efforts we have out there to expand commercial recycling here in the city. As you noted, the commercial sector has done a pretty darn good job recycling on their own due to the fact that it's cheaper to recycle than to throw things away. So the message has gotten through to quite a few of the big businesses in the city. But I'd like to point out some other programs that we're working on, and maybe talk about some other things that are coming down the pipeline that we need to be aware of. So in the commercial realm, we include our LAUSD program. The LAUSD recycling program, which is serviced by our folks with the blue bins, has been incredibly successful. It is, again, a voluntary program, but LAUSD folks have embraced it. We have 565 of the schools enrolled in the program. They collect, again, all of the same blue bin materials we collect in our single-family and multifamily programs. That's over 70% of the total LAUSD schools. That number's been a moving target as they've opened about 60 new schools over the last couple of years, but we're trying really hard to get to all of them. We started out with the curbside collection of recyclables from our elementary schools. Then recently we've moved into more of the middle and high schools, which are a completely different animal, lots more kids, smaller area. So we've actually established large bin routes for those schools, and it's been very successful. Let's see. We also have, as far as the recycling goes in the commercial sector, we have a proposal for a C&D recycling requirement for all construction projects in the city. It's currently in the mayor's office and CAO for report. I just heard it's coming out, so we're very excited that that's going to be moving forward very soon to the council. It's under the green building umbrella. It's a LEED. You get points on it for your LEED requirements for recycling of construction and demolition debris. The basic tenets of the program, we have developed a new data management system where we're going to be able to track what goes on with our permitted haulers, with our certified processors, with businesses, city departments, all in one big monster database that they're still working the bugs out, but it's almost there. We're going to require that all construction and demolition materials for which you get a bin, placed outside your home or at a construction site, be delivered to a certified processor for recycling. The recycling percentage, there will be a minimum floor set, which will increase over time as we challenge some of these facilities to increase their recycling rates.
And that'll be done through the Bureau of Street Services side of things, permitting for the bins on the streets? How would you do that?
Actually, when somebody goes to pull a permit, they're going to have to give us information on who's going to haul their construction and demolition materials. A homeowner hauling things, say, in a pickup truck, they're going to be exempt because, we're going to have enough to follow up on everyone. But most people get either a permitted hauler or they haul their own if they're a large construction firm. Those folks will all be reporting to us and have permits through the permit system, and that's how we're going to track it. For building permits, we will require that they identify during the permit process who's going to haul their material. We will cross-check, but we're not going to go to, and we also will, do some site inspections. But since there's many thousands of building permits pulled every year, we thought it was easier to ask our permitted, community to simply, take that extra step with the material.
Okay.
So we expect great things from that. Construction and demolition material, we're very fortunate here in the city of Los Angeles is that we have a wide network of facilities. So we want everybody to be able to take advantage of that. And because we have the ability to handle all the material that's generated for construction and demolition, this is an obvious next step for us. Some of the other infrastructure, we need a little more development. We've been also conducting business waste assessments and technical assistance for businesses in the city. We've gone to over 700 in the last couple of years. We've also done some specialized help, such as the Gateway to LA bid. We did waste assessments at 23 large hotels and businesses in that strip, and assisted that bid in getting a recycler that now services the majority of the, you have single recycler. They got better prices that way, and it serves a majority of those businesses. The last report I saw, they collect over 33 tons of recyclables per month from the businesses that are enrolled. And as their hauler agreements sunset, we will also get more of them in. So it's a good way to get businesses that may not necessarily have the time do their own contracts, do it through the bid or some other consortium to bring recycling where they haven't had it before. Our food waste program, food waste is the largest single category in the waste stream other than paper. In our food waste restaurant food waste program, we have over 900 now in the program. We expect that with that many, we'll divert about 30,000 tons of food every year. That's just with the ones that are in there. And we have many food service establishments that have signed up. One of the areas that we have to make sure that we do is to recognize those that are doing recycling. So every year we put a Think Environment section in the daily news. And this year we decided to go a little different way, so we actually listed every single restaurant that's in our program and encouraged people to actually go and, go to the green restaurants. We're also working on a window sticker that they can have in their business to show that they are, going above and beyond with recycling. And we hope to continue to expand that program. That's a big bang for your buck program. Over the last few years, we've also done a lot of pilots with mixed results. Pilots, that's what pilots are for. We've gone out with RFPs and have had contracts to try to develop recycling at strip malls, which was less than successful, and also contracted with a couple of nonprofits. Again, in that case, they were to go out and increase recycling in their existing businesses, and things just didn't gel, unfortunately. So we're always looking for new ideas, new ways to reach the rest of the city. We'll continue to expand our commercial outreach. We've hosted business forums. We also attend business forums and try to get the word out to businesses through that. The bid consortium meetings, we're a regular visitor there to ask businesses to recycle.
Do you think the recession had anything to do with the fact that there wasn't such a great enough response?
No, because this was taking place before the economic downturn. I think education has a lot to do with it, but I think it's also space considerations. And when you're a single tenant in, say, a strip mall, when you're a single tenant, you don't see the cost of disposal. It's built into your lease costs, so you don't feel the effects of any savings that the lessee isn't going to see a savings from that. So maybe you're not quite as motivated. Again, though, we'll just keep on it. One of the items that I'm going to preempt and give you a little information about is that through AB 32, the Global Warming Act that was adopted by the state of California, they had a scoping plan where they had specific actions they were asking to take to reach the required reductions in emissions. And one of the items was a mandatory commercial recycling program. Now, the Integrated Waste Management Board has been working on that, and we've had staff that have been tasked with keeping up with that and also putting together some ideas about what that would look like here in the city of Los Angeles if that does come about. But the requirements in the scoping plan say that each local jurisdiction must implement a commercial recycling program, and they mean a mandatory one, by July 1st, 2012. So what we're looking at, we're keeping an eye on this and making sure that we're ready to go forward if this does go forward.
So the fact that we, on the commercial side, that we don't collect the commercial, that it's done by private haulers, we would mandate on them that they must go through a process of some sort that...
Well, My understanding is that they're trying to allow as much flexibility for jurisdictions to implement based on the way they do business. Many jurisdictions have a franchised hauler, a single hauler, and it would be easy enough to amend the contract to make sure that they're providing recycling to everyone. In our case, we're an open market. Businesses are free to contract with whoever they want for recycling or waste services. And so we'd have to look at it in possibly, and of course this is all conceptual at this point.
Yeah.
We'd have to look at it in two ways. One is that the business owners, and there is a threshold I think that if you generate 4 cubic yards a week or above, so it's medium to large businesses, that we would probably have to have some sort of requirement, but through our permitting system, also require that our haulers that provide service to these folks report to us whether they have recycling and who doesn't have recycling, and try to work it within our existing system so we don't have to create a whole new structure to implement this.
But we did give the legal notice a couple of years ago that we could go to a franchise route, right? Not that I'm proposing that, but that is our option that
Well,
we have.
the notice that was sent out was only for the multifamily sector.
Oh.
It was not for all commercial businesses. It was a 7-year notice. As of July of 2013, we can move to, as you said, either a franchise or another type of system for multifamily recycling. But for commercial recycling, that 5-year minimum required notice has not been issued as of this point.
So if the state was to order it, would we have a legal right then to enforce it if it's a state mandate?
The mandatory recycling? The city would have to adopt an ordinance, and like I said, we would have to craft it so that it would work within our existing system, but the city would have to pass their own ordinance requiring that, the recycling take place. The state would set up the guidelines, they would have, all kinds of information, but it would be up to each local jurisdiction to adopt their own ordinance.
Anything else? Okay. Well, you covered almost everything on my list. That was very good. Status of the Green Business Certification Program.
Well, that one, back when that was first, the motion was first introduced, that responsibility was given to the Environmental Affairs Department, Environmental A, and they have moved forward with a program with the hospitality industry and hotels on a relatively small scale to get it started. So an overall program hasn't been adopted yet.
Okay, so we're just doing a small little segment of this, and the general manager's here from.
Bring your report back to the committee on where we are with
Okay,
green business.
very good.
And give you the details.
All right, Ms. Perry?
Nope, that's fine. I asked my question.
Very good. Well, you covered all the bases. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Keep up the great work. Proud of you guys.
Thank you.
Item 6.
Item number 6 is a Bureau of Sanitation report relative to the reduction plan for city municipal solid waste disposed at the Sunshine Canyon landfill.
Just general. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
That's nice.
Great.
Good afternoon, council members. John Moore, Bureau of Sanitation. And I'm here today to discuss diversion efforts to reduce the amount of waste going to landfill. Essentially, our guiding light here is the development of the Solid Waste Integrated Waste Management Plan, which is a 20-year plan to manage the city's solid waste. This incorporates elements from your committee, Renew, and mayoral directives, the regulatory framework in which we operate, and the city's infrastructure needs. The SWRP is a two-phase process, and it will take approximately 6 years to complete. Phase 1 has consisted of a series of stakeholder meetings and workshops and was conducted from the spring of 2007 through the summer of 2008. And the product from that Phase 1 study was the development of guiding principles that will lead the city in managing solid waste for the next 20 years. Phase 2, which is commenced in 2008, will develop the policies, programs, and facility plans that will accommodate management of the waste stream during those 20 years. This fall, work will start on the development of the programmatic EIR for the SWRP program. The key thing here is trying to divert as much waste as we can from landfill disposal. Programs that we discussed a couple years ago when we were here at committee were the ambassador programs, in which 8 ambassadors and a supervisor have been deployed throughout at different locations throughout the city. We started in the East Valley in a 6-month program in which we were able to significantly reduce the amount of recyclables in the black container. That effort was continued at other locations throughout the city with similar results. Beginning in 2008, it was necessary to redeploy the ambassadors to look at the material in the blue containers. We were experiencing significant levels of contamination, and we targeted high contamination routes, and we've been able to continue this effort at other districts throughout the city and have essentially made we've covered 5 of the 6 collection districts, and after the first of the year we'll be going into the 6th district. The expansion of the blue bin recycling program, also known as New to the Blue, was a 12-month program in which we posted information on buses, bus shelters, our collection trucks, and we also provided informational brochures to residents regarding increasing the recycling stream to include plastics 3 through 7, styrofoam, and metal hangers. That program has been successful. We also instituted a pilot food scrap recycling program. This was a 12-month program that commenced in September of 2008 and ran through August of 2009 and targeted 8,700 homes in CDs 1, 8, 9, 10, and 15. And in this program, the food scraps and food-contaminated paper were placed in the green container, the green bin, along with yard trimmings. This material was hauled to our Clark's transfer station. The reason for doing this, there is a dearth or a lack of permitted facilities in the LA Basin and the San Fernando Valley to manage this material.
So that was the countertop pail to the big pail?
To the green container, yeah,
Okay.
the green bin. The material was shipped directly from Clark's to Community Recycling's composting facility in Lamont in Kern County, and it's about a 90-mile run. This program was complemented by a significant public outreach program in which we also enlisted the services of the ambassadors. That has gotten to where we are today. Future programs, future diversion programs will consist of expansion of the blue bin recycling program. We have spoke with interested parties regarding the possibility of textile recycling. Unfortunately, right now the market is soft. However, when it picks up again, there should be renewed interest. With regard to the ambassador programs, as we move forward with this, we're discovering what the strengths of this program are, and what we intend to do is to focus on the black bin routes that have high levels of recyclables present, so we can divert those from the waste stream. And in addition, we are going to target those blue bin routes that have high contamination. So it'll be a two-pronged approach. With regard to our food scrap recycling program, we're still evaluating the data. Because of the dearth of permitted facilities, we will probably, we are going to expand, but we'll expand in a conservative manner. We will expand the pilot to include other communities that are within driving distance of the Clark's transfer station. And this mode of operation will continue until such time that we have more permanent facilities. Pay-as-you-throw, that is from a council directive in which the Bureau is to develop a program in which the residents will be charged for the amount of material they dispose in the black bin. We are working with the, essentially, staff has developed a program, and a board report is pending that will discuss the methodology and cost. Jorge and Enrique, when they were up here, they talked about the pilot residential incentive-based recycling plan, which is the, we call it Recycle Rewards program. And that's an exciting program. We're going to target approximately 2,500 homes in North Central and West Valley. And this program, as my managers pointed out, will provide rewards to people for recycling. We would like to, one of the issues I believe you brought up was it's going to be route-based and not individual-based. And the problem we have, we have automated side loaders for trucks, and that these trucks, nobody's tested out this technology. And so we've opted to go to a route-based methodology. With respect to residential construction demolition debris that Karen talked about, homeowners, if they do construction work themselves and haul it to a disposal facility, they are exempt from the, I guess, provisions of the ordinance. However, it is our thinking that once the culture changes in with regard to managing these materials, they will be properly recycled. I think it just be human nature that you take it to a facility and you don't take it to a landfill, or you take it to a transfer station where it could end up in an old-tech facility. That is our hope. Basically, that's where we are. And looking at our chart here, we are, let's see, 2000, yeah, we're in 2009, 2010. These number of these programs are embryonic. They're in early stages of development. We're trying to change behavior, and we're not expanding as quickly as we would like. We're all caught in the economic squeeze, but we're moving forward to the best of our ability. And with time, we'll continue to function. With regard here, this is what's going in the sunshine. This up here is what we're taking out to El Sobrante. The 600 tons upon award of the replacement contract, or however it goes, will probably be in a secondary facility. And then here, your guiding light is the old-tech facilities as we come out.
That's the yellow?
That is the gold.
The gold.
Gold.
Right.
So that's where we are.
All right. So that year, what was that, 2020 out the far end?
15, 16.
This is 2013, 14.
13, 14 begins, and then
That's the commercial.
2015, 16.
2015, 16, and then what is the remainder left in landfilling if all goes according to plan?
No,
It's about 1,400.
1,400, assuming no great increase in disposal habits of the population.
right.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
How much was it, 1,500?
1,500,
What's that? The remaining, it's What,
it's,
about 14?
it's 14.7, 1407 by 15-16
Move
fiscal
forward.
year.
Okay. Because what wasn't mentioned in the report is the actual tonnage numbers. And
Right.
so the
Yeah.
motion called for a reduction.
You know, the baseline when we started was 3,700 going to Sunshine.
Mhm.
And, you know, we are now at 2,200, somewhere around that, 25,
Okay.
22.
Some of that's economic related.
Yeah, some of us,
We
you
don't know.
truthfully.
Because they're down, all of
probably.
them are down. so,
Right.
yeah.
And. with
So there's
the-
success, but we have not reached the goal
True.
that was laid out. And some of that success is not quantifiable because of the economy, and we can look at other landfills that are all down, so,
Mhm.
so we're behind schedule.
Right,
Does
Okay.
that assume
But we're-
population growth or same population throughout?
but
Yeah.
we're moving forward.
That assumes a population growth without an expansion of the of trash. So less trash, more people. If I look at your chart, it's pretty level across the top,
Yeah.
so,
That's correct.
It's a little dips a little bit, yeah.
yeah,
But,
Right.
yeah, less trash, more people.
yeah.
Yep. Wow.
Tough, okay, tough to reach those numbers. Let me ask just a couple quick questions. You mentioned the recycling and collection now of styrofoam, plastics, all levels plastics. It's hard to put a tonnage amount on that, but volume-wise, what is that
Yeah.
doing? What kind of numbers are we getting volume-wise?
What, the
I mean,
reduction?
Yeah,
Well, what we have found with for instance, styrofoam, there's styrofoam's used in a number of different products. You know, it's used for styrofoam packaging material. It's used for meat trays, that kind of thing. When we send this material, when this material goes to a recycling facility, anything that's come in contact with food is considered trash.
right.
The styrofoam peanuts, because this material is passed through a mechanical sorting system, it's looked at, the thing is just, it creates a mess. It flies all over the place and messes, and they're hard to recover. So what the MRFs really like to see is the blocky styrofoam. If you buy a refrigerator, a television, or even some small items are packed in styrofoam. There are markets for that. There's a facility up in Northern California that makes molding out of that material. So there is an end market for that. With regard to the other plastics, a lot of that comes in contact with food too, and that's just discarded because of the food. And if it's shipped overseas, if it sits in
Even if it's been cleaned?
if it's clean, some people do clean it, some people, but the problem is this material goes over a belt, and they use manual separation. And a lot of the material they look at it, and,
They don't even bother checking to see if it's clean.
Right.
So I'm wasting my time cleaning those
yeah.
food trays.
And a lot of what we see, though, a large fraction of what we're seeing are the plastic bags.
Yeah,
We are getting a lot of plastic bags.
yeah. Well, there's obviously a big push on that. How are they separating those out okay now? It's all manual.
Yeah. And one thing we are trying to do, and it's hard, is we're encouraging people to put bags in bags. So in essence, you end up with this big pillow, pillow of plastic bags that they can use. And also, if they don't want to do that, they can take it to their market.
Okay, do you have any questions, Ms. Berry?
Just want to move your mic on that. I can't see the last
Left?
tube or the last.
There you go.
Okay.
Read out the numbers.
Yeah, I just couldn't. do the
Yeah, it's hard
mic-
to- it's very hard to-
microphone was blocking it too.
Yeah.
I can give you
Just the last one.
the last one here.
Yeah.
The blue one is 200.
Uh-huh,
The purple is 80.
uh-huh.
The green is 315. The red is 250. The light purple 60. Dark purple 40. The yellow one is 1,000.
Gold.
Gold.
The gold.
Gold, excuse me,
Depending
gold.
on your-
I
depending
was
on your
corrected, so
perspective.
I-
Yes, yes.
1,000, sorry.
Yes.
Purple again, 150. Dark gray, 63. Semi-green, 75.
Seafoam.
And
Or
then you
teal.
have...
Teal. Teal, yes, okay, all right.
And then we get into that grade with little squares inside. which is,
Can't even see the squares, I'm so blind.
it's 807. And the very top, which is your kind of dark gray, it's 600.
Okay.
So
Okay.
would be for a total, what we are total?
3,700 is our baseline.
But just for a point of reference, we were landfilling in 1990 3,700 tons a day, and we're still landfilling 3,700 tons a day. So there's been a reduction through recycling, which has been greatly successful.
I was going to say that
Oh, it's still going in there.
Yeah.
Both.
if this mirrors the model on water supply, you look at the water demand for the city, in spite of the population growth, it has remained flat.
Because of conservation.
Conservation. So if this mirrors that on a per capita basis, if we reduce the generation, we're doing good job.
We still don't know yet how if the population is going to grow.
Yeah. Actually, it's been reducing lately. so
And everybody's
we'll see.
aging in place.
Yeah,
Yes.
aging in place. All right. All right, thank you very much. I would ask that as we bring this forward, that you put those numbers in a report form that's readable, because that doesn't transform into a
Okay.
report. So if you could put that into the
form.
tonnage issues into the report and show
Okay.
a spreadsheet of some sort, that'd be very helpful. All right?
Okay.
And if there are no other questions, we'll move that forward.
Thank you.
And thank you very much. That concludes today's agenda. Anyone wishing to speak on an item not on today's agenda, come forward. That concludes the meeting. Thank you very much.
So did you see Billy's comments?
No, I just heard about it. I just got an email from my president. What else are you talking about? We moved council. We didn't hardly change anything.
To Kevin James?
Yeah,
Is Dennis? Dennis is feeding.
I know. And
Then that David Burke, I'm going to show you something tomorrow. Or I'll try to send it to my email. He down there talked about us on Mayor Sam Block and Kevin James after Dennis.
Moving it forward,
I
do you want me
told
to
people,
email the report to you?
for you all, who's antagonizing us. How can you represent us in the public domain and trash your own farm? And he apologized, and the guy was on the radio again.
I saw him right after we had our meeting. He was in the back of the press conference.
Well, after a while, I can't believe Bill.